Yeah, it's not really our job to replace it, but
One of the ladies that's on the hometown Christmas team.
Under what
asked
committee?
about- Under.
you don't know which morning company doing it.
Okay, sure thing.
Problem.
I bet, bye.
To formally close the public hearing in the proposed annexation agreement for 230 Whitetail Road. And at that same time, I will go ahead and call to order the regular session of the Murphysboro City Council and call that to order, and I'd ask that we would all rise, and I will lead us in the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, and thank you once again for an opportunity to come together as a community to consider the issues before us. We pray that the hot weather that's coming, everybody would be able to find a place to stay cool. And we would also pray that we'd get the rain that we need in the way that we need it, so that our crops can flourish and so that our farmers and everyone involved in that practice would have a successful season. We always pray for our first responders, our police, fire, and our EMTs and troops overseas, as they are on the front lines helping to keep our communities and the world safe. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Here.
Alderman Runge.
Here.
Alderman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Jackson.
Here.
Alderman Pittman.
Here.
Alderman Urbis. Alderman McComb.
Here.
Alderman Strack.
Here.
Alderman Gladden.
Here.
Mayor Stevens.
Here. On the agenda this evening, up first we have the consideration of minutes from the meeting of August the 13th, and I'd entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes at this time. Entertain a motion to
So
approve the
moved.
minutes. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get into our regular committee and commission reports, I talked with Director Mac Rizzo, who is here with us from the Housing Authority before the meeting, and I want to give her an opportunity to address the council and not make her wait all the way to the end at public safety. So.
But I'm gonna stay till the end.
Oh, well, I did not,
Yeah, so-
comment at that time, excuse me.
Yeah, this is where I need to be more involved in community, activities, especially with the city of Murphysboro and their ability to back up our housing authority with their support, at the mayor's office, the fire department, the police department. It's gracefully appreciated. And I only came here today to extend that gratitude based on an event that happened at our facility last week, and the collaboration between the county, the city, the mayor's office. It was just phenomenal to see everything happen so swiftly and with ease, and to, reassure my residents their safety, and all of those things came all at once. And I can't thank everyone here enough. It's greatly appreciated. I did tell the mayor that I have one tiny complaint, and that was because I wasn't called to the site. And what I need the police department to understand is my residents can't not give a statement and make your job any harder. I'll get the information on it. Okay. They should, somebody's gonna make a statement and give up some names, right? And so, give me a call. I came with an updated list, which I would like to give to you, the fire department. I'll give it to the mayor's office as well, because I think that might have been some of the delay in getting a call over to me. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you coming out to the meeting tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. That'll take us into our regular committee and Finance chaired by Mr. W.J. Pittman. W.J.
Thanks, Mayor. We have no items under old business. Under new business, we have consideration of agreement for advancement of TIF eligible expenses for 500 North 19th Street. See, this is the property we've discussed for several meetings. Does anybody have any questions? Richard, do you have anything you want to add?
I believe it outlines what had been discussed, what crucial that they will do in acquiring the building, this advancement of TIF funds.
I guess, Richard, the only thing I would point out is, as we've talked about in the first page, number 2, we do talk about the advance that will be paid through an escrow of those funds to be held by Jackson County Abstract. We've learned since the first draft of this that because the city's not actually a party to the transaction, they don't want to hold those funds. They would rather us present a check or transfer via wire or whatever directly to those parties. So I guess we would want to adopt this with just the understanding that that section isn't totally accurate. Or striking that line, I guess the rest of it would still be fine.
Everybody okay with that change? We have a change? We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? That motion will carry.
I just want to personally thank the mayor
Yep.
for all the energy that you put
Legwork.
into this project.
Well, yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. And I thank the council for, my meetings and tours and taking up the, again, giving your time to go tour that and understand what so, thank you.
Then do we, I know we talked about a wire that will go out next Thursday then for the closing.
Yes, so we found that there, with the separate agreement, I'm assuming Crucial will be there.
They will.
For mayor purposes of green data, Murphysboro, they have been approved to receive $50,000 in TIF fund reimbursement for the demolition of the roundhouse building. Green data is not going to personally be at the closing, so those funds are going to be wired to green data rather than it is in the town's paperwork, bills payable, that check. So for that, if an actual check won't be written, the approval of that payment, that it will be by wire transfer after closing is complete.
So that's the only change, is it'll be by wire instead of by check.
Yes.
So that'll be.
So when we approve the accounts, we don't have to change anything.
Now,
We're still approving the same amount to the same
Okay,
people.
okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, then, next item is consideration of accounts payable registers. Anybody have any questions on the bills? Hearing none, I'd accept the motion.
Can I statement, or every
Yep.
2-week statement? And Scott is not here, but, realize yet again, we have $14,299 from hotel,
Tourism.
tourism. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, and if you notice on Scott's report of the cash of the list of cash and cash equivalents, that's coming down. On 14 is their account number. So you have 16,001 in the hotel motel. You have 13,009, almost 14,000 in the other one. They've just spent, almost half of that. And so, I think they've gone through their whole budget, and most of what they had accumulated by not spending prior to. So, I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record, but this is seemingly kind of a problem.
Well,
But-
I think you've sort of won me over, especially with this last round with, the comments, Barb. I don't think that they're, not well-founded. Sandra tells me today that basically we've run into a functional cash flow problem doesn't mean that we're necessarily out of money, but that, well, you can explain it.
So basically, they don't have enough money to cover this check.
14,000.
But we should be receiving any day the allotment from Holiday Inn. Had that, which normally arrives the 23rd and 24th, then it would have been fine. But,
I mean,
so it's just a little bit of a cash.
I would think it would make sense for us to approve those, that gets paid after we receive the allotment, you know, and that
Right.
would be but,
I'm not
I mean,
saying
so
we
still
don't
need to
approve it.
communicate
I
with
just
them
think
that that's
that
where they're at.
communication
And I
is.
did email Lisa this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, and I texted her as well, and my text, I said something like, you know, we're gonna have to put a brick on the spending for a minute. While,
And I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record,
No,
but
no,
I think it is a
absolutely.
concern.
right.
I mean, if we don't talk about it, it just keeps going in that same
Exactly,
direction.
yes,
so.
thank you.
Okay.
And I still, you got a motion, did you get a second for payment?
I don't think we have.
Thank you, dude.
You haven't done a motion?
I don't think
I'll
so.
make a motion that we pay the bills, if you're ready for that.
Yep, make a motion, we have a second then to pay the bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all
Motion is second.
opposed? Alright, that motion will carry. Next is presentation of financial reports prepared by Scott Evans, budget officer, and I'll just go through some of these. And then we can talk about if anybody has any. First one is the income tax receipts. Looks like we had another month in August that beat the last several years. 2020 was the only one on there that was higher. Average is obviously still higher monthly basis for this year than it was last year. And the next one is the cash and cash equivalent, so that's both general fund and funds with external restrictions. No, we don't have a comparison to previous, but there's nothing on there that jumps out at me as surprisingly different than it has been in the past. Next item is the total general fund loan that are outstanding. Looks like the ones we have, original amounts $252,380 with current balance of $178. Paid those down about $75,000 it looks like. And then the next page is the water sewer loan funds. Obviously that includes the water treatment plant, so original amount of $17,428,745.02, and we paid all those down dollars less than what the original amount was. That's seems like quite an achievement.
Yeah.
That goes down every time. When was the last semi-annual payment we made on that one? Was it May? So that's a pretty big one. Yeah. So. Does anybody have any questions that I probably can't answer on Scott's report? Hearing none, that's the last item of new business. Do we have any public comment under budget and finance? Comment, we can move out of budget and finance.
That takes the building and grounds, chaired by Mr. Mike Austin.
We have old business and building and grounds, and then we have consideration of ownership of 819 Walnut Street, and that's the ROE building. And Mayor, I'm gonna turn this over to you.
All right, well, I emailed out, and I apologized in my email, I should have sent it out earlier than I did, a inspection report. And I handed out sort of a summary of it beforehand. Some of the things, you know, the inspector doesn't really address in terms of the HVAC. It was one of those things where they just sort of deferred, and Ryan Manwaring may have some knowledge about the HVAC system there, and I don't think it's all fully functional.
I think there's one of the units that they've had problems with off and on. I don't think it was ever replaced, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I know they've had issues with one of them in the past.
Sure. So I think it, you know, outlines that there are electrical problems with the building. There are, you know, outlets that are not grounded. There's, I think, it's not insulated. I think one thing it notes in there is that it could use additional insulation to be functional. We know about the water and the mold issues and things that are in the basement. The roof did appear to be in, you know, good shape. It said it's a rubber roof that looked fairly new. I think, you know, from my perspective, the building itself would take a lot of money to get back up to a functional place. We had thought maybe it would be, a place for one of our departments to move into to get more space. And I'm not really convinced that, our long-term goal is to build a new building space we're sitting in now. And so I'm not sure that that's necessarily what we would want to do with it. But as Mike Austin has pointed out to me several times, it's still, a lot on Walnut Street. And there's, a high traffic count there. It has some intrinsic value, even if we just tore the building down and sold the lot. We can certainly, I think, get out of the lot what we would have in tearing the building down, if not more, pretty easily. So is my recommendation that we take the property, not with the concept of necessarily rehabbing it for one of our purposes, but just simply to, better control our downtown and who ultimately becomes the end user of the space. I know there are sort of divergent thoughts upon it, and I'm open to any of them. So,
Well,
Gary?
the courthouse still gonna build a new spot there right beside it, aren't they?
As far as I know, they were doing asbestos work and stuff, getting ready for the tear down just this last week.
Did they get all their bids in?
Yes.
Well, how valuable is that gonna be to the county for parking, or street down and took it out and made that all thing out? I don't know how much water or sewer lines we got under that street, but if you took that street out across there, it all a lot bigger for the courthouse to build on, and be a valuable piece of property to them
Sure.
if we own it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have value for the county, for someone. I mean, you make a good point, Gary.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
My only comment, Mayor, is what you just said. I think it's necessary for us to control that area, only from keeping someone that we might not want on Walnut Street. And actually, that location is one at the early beginning of the entry into Walnut Street. So by controlling that, if we do end up just demolishing it, we still own a corner lot.
I wouldn't make a motion when we take the building.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. We have sorry, Deputy Jay.
Start the other
Mike.
end. I have to think about this. Start at the other end.
Are we doing a roll call?
I don't know.
Well, Mike,
Does
it's
it need a roll call for that?
It's your committee. I'll vote however you want.
Yeah, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
Nope.
Bet you don't need a roll call on that, do we?
Well, I don't think you do at this point, because there will be further official action taken. Procedurally, the school district, the school board is going to have to enact a resolution approving this being done. The statute, this is a procedure that's set up with the city, will have to, after that, pass a resolution officially accepting the property. So I guess with that approval, the procedure, I believe, should then go back to the school board to know that this decision has been made, and that they will have to take their official action.
To make them aware that we're interested in it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that passed, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, with Barb, right, correct? Okay. The second thing under new business is the consideration of ownership of 435 North 14th Street. Was everybody able to go see that building? It's just on the south side of El Jalisco, of that parking lot. And Mayor, I don't know a heck of a lot about that.
Well, I know Charlie Isaac probably can tell us a little bit more, but one of the only questions that I think he had, and I have as well, is whether or not we know, if there's any liens or title issues with the property. Have we researched that?
I haven't gotten that far yet with it.
Okay.
it had come up, there was a couple apple trees there, and somebody called in about the apple trees falling on the sidewalk. I didn't know how bad the house was until we tore the house directly to the west. We just recently tore that down. When I went up there to look at that house, the back half of this house is completely falling in. So I had Gary Darnell go by and take some photographs of it. He actually got a hold of the owner of it, and he's an elderly man, can't keep up with it, and asked if the city would want to take it over.
Charlie, who is the owner?
I believe the last name was Cook.
Cook?
Yeah, I think the first name's, I can't
That's Pat Cook's father that used to live there.
Jim
You know
Cook.
Pat.
Jim Cook.
Pardon me?
Pat Cook's dad, that's where he lived
Okay.
always life.
Yeah, I think his name is Jim Cook.
I did take a slight look at it. It would be Jim Cook who did own it, who died back in 2008, I believe. At that time, Jim Cook apparently had been placed in Jackson County Rehab for some time, I don't know how long, because there was recorded a lien by the state of Illinois in 2008. The lien document doesn't say how much the lien was for, but I believe those liens are only good for 5 years and they have to be renewed. I did not see that lien had been renewed. But Jim Cook, who is deceased, would have acquired that property far enough back that the deed reference doesn't appear right there on the assessor's records, where it's easy to find the deed, just to know how the deed was held. It wouldn't appear that the title ever got transferred over to his son, Pat Cook, I believe he goes by. I think it's actually Ronald Cook, he goes by Pat. So I believe research needs to be done on just how this is titled and what would be needed to effectively transfer good title to the city. And just seeing how far back that goes, and maybe Jackson County Abstract needs to do that search.
So are you suggesting we just move this on to another meeting?
I would say so until Jackson County Abstract could do a title search to know exactly what the city would face title-wise, and what it would take to get an effective title, and if there is any issues with any liens that may have been recorded, something that could have been recorded farther back than what we can do just with a quick computer search at the recorder's office. You know, in the early 90s, everything started to be placed on computer. When you have transactions that happened before then, you have to go back to the grantor grantee indexes, which is, for us, it's very time consuming to do.
Okay.
Whereas Jackson County Abstract can do it far more efficiently, and the city can know exactly what would be needed to get a good title, and if there's any issues with something old that could be recorded, that could create a lien or something of concern.
So Richard, would you think that could be done meeting, or do we need to bounce that into
It would
October?
probably, I don't know if Charlie's, I think we see it takes a while for turnaround time. So maybe something to have Jackson County Abstract do their search, and then once that's done, maybe bring it back.
Yeah, once we get that information, I can get it on whatever agenda's coming up.
Okay.
We do, just food for thought, we own the adjacent property at 1414, we just tore that house down recently.
And we own one right
Yeah,
behind that
to
one,
the-
too.
Straight to the west, kind of kitty corner from it, we own that piece of property as well. It's like 530, I think, North 15th. There are also two vacant lots there that are SI property zone that are for sale as well, so potential there to be a whole city from 14th Street, 14th to 15th, all on Poplar there would be vacant.
So Mayor, I'd like to just remove this and move it to a future meeting, and we'll put it on whenever it's necessary.
All right, well, that sounds good to me
All right.
and prudent, so that's what we'll do.
Is there any public comments regarding building and grounds? Mayor, we can move out. Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to community relations, chaired by Ms. Cray Witzman.
Thank you, Mayor. For old business, we have the discussion regarding nightly home rentals. And then for new business, we have discussion regarding Tower Grove Cemetery Walk in March 2025. And I'm gonna turn that back over to you, Mayor.
So the issue of the nightly room rentals, I said at our last meeting that I'd reach out to other communities and sort of start to gather information about what other communities are doing. And we've got a few responses back so far. The ones that we've gotten back are similar to what we've been doing to this point, and that's that they're not doing anything. And so I'm going to just sort of hold this to the next meeting in hopes that I get some more responses back that, you know, are more, that are a plan that we could look at. Just got responses that we don't have any ordinance in that regard. So unless there's any other conversation on that, moving to the new business. A group with the Jackson County Historic Society that is planning a Tower Grove Cemetery Walk in March of 2025. And this is going to be in conjunction with the 100-year anniversary of the Tri-State Tornado. They're going to be essentially going to graves of various people that were lost their lives in the tornado and telling the story of how they were involved in the community and various things. I talked with our city attorney, Richard Blake, about if there was any additional insurance or anything we would need to do, and I don't believe that there is. You know, we're already covered for people being in the cemetery just because of funerals and, you know, things that happen, of course. And so I think we're fine in that regard. Richard, do you agree?
I agree from our discussion.
Okay. Moving into these other items, Jance, do you want me to handle these as well?
Sure, you might as well.
Okay. A couple of years ago, we had done a sponsorship of the football, basketball broadcasts on WDBX. I, you know, wanted to bring this to council. One, I mean, just because I've volunteered at that radio station for 23 years now, and we didn't do this last year. I don't know if we just weren't approached about it or what, but we did it 2 years ago.
No, other than you, instead of the 10-second spots, why we would need the 2 spots on News Radio WJPF every week. You can do the one at the bottom as a booster, 2 10-second live mentions per game sponsor for $95 a month. I think the high school games is what we're more concerned with than being on the news radio, but
Sure.
that's my opinion.
It's only a 3-month. No.
No, it's basketball.
I was thinking football only.
6-minute section.
Yeah.
The basketball got both boys and girls.
I think it's just the boys' games.
Just the ones that are broadcast.
Don?
I agree with WJ. The booster announcements, 2 live mentions per game, so I'm assuming football and basketball at $95 a month would be a good investment.
Well, is there a motion to approve our booster sponsorship?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'd second that.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? We also have a couple of street closure requests here. What I understand, these have been signed off on by all the appropriate department heads. One for September 27th, the other for September 28th. One is a class of '84 reunion, the other one's the NHS homecoming.
We don't have signatures on ours.
He just said that it was signed.
I think the forms got out late, but they were.
They have to, you guys are okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve?
So,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Make sure we have that we don't have anything on the agenda tonight regarding the animal control issue, although we may, or I guess maybe other. You said share your perspective. Matter.
I attended the Jackson County Board meeting last Tuesday on the 20th, and we discussed the need for facility and right now, the Humane Society is not taking any animals in, and I just found out today I have a severe situation with a relative of mine that has to be prior set, but that's county, not city. One of my
And
concerns.
could you just state your name for the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary Jo Porter.
Thank you.
One of my concerns is on how many cats you can have, there's a limit on how many dogs you can have. And I understand under statute, if you start feeding strays, they become yours, and that puts you over the limit, and then you get in trouble for trying to help alleviate the problem by taking care of these animals, making sure they're fed, taking in spayed and neuter. So I guess my question is, why are people being punished for trying to help a situation that nobody else, to my knowledge, because I admit, I was gone from here for about 12 years and moved back. For me, there has to be some sort of give there a little bit, especially when you're in a situation where you're taking in animals that are otherwise gonna be tossed out on the street to breed, causing more animals, or run over by a car, or, you know, attacked by another animal, or what have you. And I just feel like something needs to be done on the city level, because my understanding is Jackson County hasn't really made much movement, even though an agreement was reached back in February, I think, with Murphy and Carbondale. We need some sort of program in place, I guess is my point, a low-cost spay and neuter clinic, so that we can get the pet population under control, so that if we do have new facilities to use, they can accommodate the animal population that we have, we can get that down. And I understand that this probably isn't like high on the list for expenditures and that kind of thing, but it's a problem. There were several people from Murphy and Carbondale and Jackson County at that meeting last week. And I'm an animal lover. I see little raccoons get hit on the side. I stop and I pick them up and I get them off the side of the road, so that they're not repeatedly run over. I see a deer get hit. I love animals, and this has become a problem here in this town. And like I said, I moved away. I'm from here. I was born and raised here. When I moved away, I was gone 12 years and came back. And it's just recently come to my attention the last couple of years how bad of a problem the stray population is.
Well, I can just tell you that, we have been considering, what we're going to do. I think it likely our next council meeting, we're going to have a formal discussion about moving forward with our own, facility. I'm not exactly sure if we've figured out where we're gonna build it or exactly how big it's gonna be, but we realize that we've got to do something. There was a thought of the city of Carbondale and Murphysboro collaborating with the county to build sort of a collaborative facility. I think those talks have fizzled essentially because there's an inability to get like a true grasp of what Murphysboro's financial commitment was going to be. And so I think we're going to have to do our own thing. I think it'll be more fiscally responsible for us to do that. So we're aware of it. We know it's a problem. We're making plans to help address the issue in Murphysboro.
Okay, and the next meeting is?
September the 10th.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is my first time attending the city council meeting.
Well, yeah.
Or meeting. I wanted to for a long time, but I just haven't made time until today, because this is.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and expressing yourself. I mean,
Well,
that's.
thank you for hearing me out. I mean, there's all kinds of other issues that I could talk for days on.
One at a time.
Right.
I think the animals is a good place,
Right.
to just leave it there.
Okay.
So,
Question. I know that there's a limit on how many animals. Chief, how many cats?
Are you talking, ma'am, are you talking about right now about the city ordinance that's in place about the limitations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she was talking about.
You're not talking about any incident right now that's going on where somebody's come and trying to take somebody's animals?
no,
Okay,
that's a
well,
county
that.
issue with my cousin, and that's being handled by county animal control.
I kinda wanted to know that
Because you
too.
can have
Yeah.
3 cats, dogs, but no combination thereof.
You can't have 3 and 3, you can have
Now, you
a
can have
total.
3 and 3, but you
Oh.
can't have 4 and 2 or 5
Oh,
and
okay,
1.
I see.
And, if you go over that, then you're, if you're in a little business,
How do we enforce that, sir?
Usually it's by word of mouth. If we get a call on it, Mark doesn't go out.
He doesn't go out chasing after people that have 6
Right now, we're not
animals.
chasing after nothing.
Yeah, and that was my other question, because we have no place to take them anyway. As far as I'm concerned, she could possibly be doing us a favor.
But see, that's, there's a lot of us that wanna do that, but we're scared we're gonna get in trouble.
Well, I think
Well,
what
I don't wanna
typically,
say, oh, you won't get in trouble. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, you have the police chief sitting right here, but we don't have any place to take. I'm sorry, I'm a very worried
Reel it in.
but I understand that, what
We
you're
want-
saying,
Get out of control now.
and we have no place to put them if you have 5 cats. I'm sorry, we just don't, that doesn't mean that someone will come after you.
Temporary job,
I
I
have,
wouldn't do it.
I have a 75-pound puppy lab, and then I've got some
Gina, are you
cats.
still taking minutes?
I do appreciate your concern, though.
I do appreciate the chance to be heard.
All right, that takes us to public improvement chaired by Mr. Don Gladden. Don?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no old business. Under new business, we have consideration of an ordinance authorizing execution of an annexation agreement for 230 Whitetail Road, which we held a public hearing prior to this meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've been, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, sir.
Got to vote on it.
Oh, yeah. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Consideration of report of zoning board of appeals and ordinance amending zoning code section 40-4-43 to allow multiple family dwellings as a special use in the community business district. We have a report from the zoning board of appeals expressing their approval of doing this. Are there any questions?
I mean, typically, we take their recommendation unless we have, overwhelming public feedback or something otherwise.
Not hearing any comments. Need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any public comment regarding public improvements? Hearing none, back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Don. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Gary McComb. Gary?
Thank you, Mayor. There's no old business. Under new business, this marker is a veteran buried out on the hill that his marker, military marker, by, I guess, the people mowing. And Floyd made a statement, it's gonna be like $1,700 to replace it at the city's expense. I would, these veterans served our country, replacing it. I don't know what you're gonna do with the other one, Will, if they can redo it at the veterans' place, and a lot of them are brown because there was a lot of them getting, but the man served his country and everything else, and we're talking probably at the most $1,700. I don't know who it is. Terry Marker, he served his country.
I remember, Sandra, I remember we looked at that photo.
It's Roosevelt Ward Senior.
Who?
Where is it?
Tower
Roosevelt Ward Senior.
Tower Road.
So the benefit of him serving his country and his family, I know destroyed, I'd want it replaced.
I'd make a motion to replace it.
I have a question, please. My question is this: does our mower have insurance himself? Since he's the one who's done the damage.
The question of that may be, Donnie, I don't know if we know when it happened or which mowing outfit done it. We don't have any idea when it happened, do we?
I don't know we have a way to prove that.
We can ask our present mower, because they probably damaged a blade or something.
Yeah, I mean, you would have known it when you hit it, because, I mean,
Yeah, the brass.
yeah.
I just think that we ought to make that effort first before, and there's no disagreement, Gary, at all.
Well,
But if he's got, he needs to take the responsibility.
I asked my city attorney, Richard, would it be possible for us to move forward with our payment and then seek reimbursement from that insurance company post?
I would think most likely we could, but, you know, make the repair and then submit the claim to mowing contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or if we could determine it's a past contractor to submit it to. We would know who they're insured, for what they submitted, so we can, you know, make that submission.
well, Richard, you ought to be able to look at,
Would be,
Don't their contract have road insurance?
It would.
you,
I did not do it, I had nothing to do it. Of course, this insurance company is gonna deny that claim.
you ought to be able to look at that marker, damage in, because it had, everything is not gonna rust.
Oh,
But
that's
you
the
ought to be
family.
able to tell if it's the mower that's mowing. He been mowing last year and this, you'll be able to look at it and
Well,
be
the
able to
family could
tell.
probably write an affidavit saying that we observed this damage upon such and such date and previous to such and such time, you know, to help boost our insurance claim.
I don't think that we should put off paying for it, though. Personal opinion thrown in there, I think we should go ahead and try to get that approved and then submit it to
You
the
okay
mowing
with that, Don?
company for their insurance referral, right, their insurance evaluation. And they may say no, but at least it gets fixed that way, and we don't know if we don't ask.
All right, so I think we had a motion from Gary, from WJ,
I'll say.
and we have a motion and a second to pay this, but with the understanding that we're going to pursue a claim against our lawn mowing company's insurance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. And the next,